For carrying out the aspects of liquidation, the liquidator has to be paid consideration, and the consideration paid here is considered as liquidator's remuneration. In this video, we will be discussing about calculation of liquidator's remuneration. Before we begin, welcome to Sridhar's Lab. Sometimes the liquidator remuneration may be paid on asset realized. When they say asset realized, here the asset realized means the assets which are sold by the liquidator. So here the liquidator remuneration has to be paid based on the assets which are sold by the liquidator. Based on that amount, the specified percentage mentioned in the question has to be calculated. So if in the question, if they have given that 2% liquidator remuneration has to be paid on asset realized, then whatever the assets which are sold by the liquidator, on that 2% has to be paid as liquidator's remuneration. So now it is very much clear that asset realized means the assets which are realized by the liquidator. And when they say asset realized, here the asset realized excludes cash in hand and cash at bank, because cash in hand and cash at bank are already in a realized manner. So liquidator has put an effort in order to sell the asset and convert that into cash. Therefore, if the liquidator remuneration is based on asset realized means it excludes cash in hand and cash at bank unless otherwise specified in the question. In the question itself, if they specify that asset realized includes cash in hand and cash at bank, then we need to consider cash in hand and cash at bank to calculate liquidator's remuneration based on asset realized. If the liquidator has received any surplus amount from the secured creditor, then the surplus received from secured creditor is also part of assets realized at the time of calculation of liquidator's remuneration based on assets realized. If in case liquidator remuneration is to be paid on total amount realized, so the total amount realized means the entire total of the receipts column, which includes cash in hand, cash at bank, asset realized, then the surplus collected from secured creditors, then calls in arrears, and then the call money received. Another aspect is the liquidator remuneration may be based on the payment made by him. On the basis of the payment made, the liquidator remuneration may be paid on unsecured creditors payment, or it may be paid on payment made to equity shareholders. Firstly, let us understand how to calculate liquidator remuneration when the liquidator remuneration is paid based on unsecured creditors. Here, when we are calculating liquidator remuneration based on unsecured creditors includes preferential creditors also. When the liquidator remuneration is based on the amount paid to unsecured creditors, here unsecured creditors includes preferential creditors. Only if in the question if they specifies that unsecured creditors excludes preferential creditors, only then unsecured creditors should be exclusive of preferential creditors for calculation of liquidator's remuneration. Otherwise, unsecured creditors always includes preferential creditors for this calculation. From the total receipts, if there is sufficient amount payable till unsecured creditors, then this formula has to be used to calculate liquidator's remuneration on amount paid to unsecured creditors. That is, amount payable to unsecured creditors divided by 100 into rate of commission. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose the assets realized here is 5 lakh and the payment made till debentures is 2 lakh. Assuming that the payment to be made to unsecured creditors is 1 lakh, see in this context, we have already realized 5 lakh worth rupees assets and we have made payment till debentures to the extent of 2 lakh. Now we are left with another 3 lakh, and amount payable to unsecured creditors, the next payment is only 1 lakh, but we have 3 lakh in hand. So that means we have sufficient funds to pay unsecured creditors. In this case, liquidator remuneration based on unsecured creditors has to be paid with the formula amount to be paid to unsecured creditors into the commission rate of commission. Suppose the rate of commission is 2%, then the liquidator's remuneration will be 1 lakh into 2%. In certain cases, amount payable to unsecured creditors may not be sufficient enough. In that case, liquidator remuneration has to be calculated based on this formula, that is amount available to pay unsecured creditors divided by 100 plus rate of commission into rate of commission. Let us understand this context with an example. Let us assume amount payable to unsecured creditors is 1 lakh and liquidator remuneration is 10% on amount paid to unsecured creditors. But when you realize the assets and pay all the liabilities before unsecured creditors, you have left out with only 88,000 in this context. That is, after paying all the liabilities which are there before unsecured creditors, after paying all of them, you are only left out with 88,000. So here 88,000 is available to pay unsecured creditors, but actual amount payable to unsecured creditor is 1 lakh. In this context, how to calculate liquidator's remuneration? So in this context, the formula to be used when the amount is insufficient is amount available divided by 100 plus rate of commission into rate of commission. So 88,000 divided by 100 plus 10 into 10 is equal to 8,000 is the liquidator remuneration. Sometimes the liquidator remuneration may be based on the payment made to equity shareholders. That is the final payment made to equity shareholders. In that case, this formula has to be used. That is the balance amount available to equity shareholders divided by 100 plus rate of commission into rate of commission. This formula has to be used to calculate liquidator remuneration based on amount paid to shareholders. To sum up, liquidator may be paid remuneration based on a fixed commission, that is fixed remuneration, or he may be paid based on the asset realized or amount realized, or he may be paid on the basis of payment made. Payment made may be based on the payment made to unsecured creditors or based on the amount paid to equity shareholders. So liquidator remuneration may be any one of these, or it may be a combination of all these.